When you start getting into the deeper satanic stuff, the Masonic stuff, where you've got murder, burial rituals, that's a whole other level. There is an underworld, there is an overworld, there are multiple dimensions happening at the same time in the same space. The darker side of the universe, they are losing their power. And so they're trying to produce more fear on planet Earth, but you got to know that love is our greatest weapon. So why is it that people engage with what we call shadow parasites? How is it that beautiful human beings end up getting infiltrated or manipulated by some kind of shadow force, by some kind of being? Do these beings really exist? Is there an underworld? If there is an underworld, who created it? Where did these beings come from? How do they move from their dimensional space to the dimensional space that we're in? You see, this topic, this subject of the dark side of the universe, when it comes to demonic beings, satanic ritual abuse, all of this kind of heavier, nastier stuff that plays out in our worldly environment, in the multi-dimensional fields underpinning and underlying this holographic reality that we play the game of life in. There is so much to this. It's a very deep subject, and most people, they kind of sweep this under the carpet. They know about it, but they don't want to engage in it, so they either sweep it under the carpet or pretend it doesn't exist. There's not many people on planet Earth that actually dive into this subject and actually work with it. And what we do on our Star Magic Facilitated Training Level 1 experiences is we spend almost a day just going into the basics of this stuff. And I'm just talking the basics. You know, it takes hours and hours just to go through the basics. When you start getting into the deeper satanic stuff, the Masonic stuff, where you've got rape and murder, the eating of babies, the burial rituals, all of that sort of stuff, I mean, that's a whole other level. And then mixed in with that, in the same kind of remit, the same kind of band of material or band of elements, you've got military programming. And that military programming comes with a whole heap of torture and nasty stuff too. To dive into that, you need days, weeks to really go through it thoroughly. And to be honest with you, even in a few weeks, you're never going to really get to the bottom of this stuff. Like, it's a minefield, and the techniques are always altering. And it takes a real strong human being with a massive commitment to work through this stuff. You've got other types of mathematical, electrical programming, which take place through satellites in the sky. You get people going onto porn sites, watching certain movies, and they're being programmed by certain codes that are embedded within whatever it is that the viewer is watching. All of this stuff is so subtle, but so powerful. And you even get men, women, teenagers, children, older human beings that end up committing suicide because these programs, they get inside of them, and once they kick in, this internal voice, which is a computer program running like a virus inside of their system, it gets them to do things. And at some point they can't take it. People have got guns, blown their own heads off, they've got ropes and hung themselves, people have chucked themselves off buildings. Okay, this stuff is rife, and it's not getting any less. More and more people every day are suffering with this stuff. It's just something that gets brushed under the carpet and gets unseen or written off as something else. Oh, they just committed suicide. Oh, this happened to them. Oh, they took a drug overdose. But what's happening is these nasty demonic virus programs, a lot of artificial dark side of technology is getting into people, and it's running rife and riot, and it's creating viruses in the biological computer, the human body and brain. Now, there is an underworld, there is an overworld, there are multiple dimensions happening at the same time in the same space. Like right now, I'm sat on a rock at the top of a hill where they're building a new ski place in the Transylvanian mountains. Okay, but all around me, there are multiple other worlds. Over here to my left-hand side, about 200 meters away, there's a portal. Okay, that portal, there's beings walking in and out of that all the time. The beings that are walking in and out of this portal are gigantic, and they're actually very loving and very friendly. If you were to see them with your physical eyes, you'd probably shit yourself because they're massive, okay? Right here in this space all around me, there's an ancient city here, an old Lemurian city from 30,000+ years ago, right here in this space. And when you tune in with your third eye and you get very present, you can see and feel this experience taking place. There is so much happening in different dimensions, in the same space at the same time, in pretty much everywhere you are on planet Earth. Okay? There are demon schools. I've been to these demon schools. I've even taken demons from this reality back to their teachers in the demon schools. They get certain souls and they bring them into demon school to teach them to be really amazing demons. As crazy as that sounds. Some of these demons are good because the trickery and the subtlety and the manipulation that they use when they're engaging with other human beings is so fine. And most humans don't see this stuff. They don't feel this stuff. They never catch on to it unless they engage with a really good facilitator, like someone from Star Magic or another great healing modality that deals with this kind of stuff. They're going to be able to guide them into these processes, rewind the timeline, and show them the point of contact where they entered into a contract with a demon, with a shadow parasite. You see, there are cosmic laws. There's a cosmic police force. There are cosmic prisons. And beings that struggle for energy, they're not allowed to just go into another person's energy field and start siphoning their energy. There has to be a contract in place. There has to be an offering of a contract. It's like in the movies. They show us things in the movies and we think these movies are just false. We think that not that they're false, but they're just movies that we're watching. But actually what they're doing is showing us what's going to take place in 3 years, 8 years, 12 years, 20 years. And we then have an opportunity to rebut that. But we think it's a movie, so we don't pay any attention and we're none the wiser. And then we think, oh my gosh, 10 years later, I watched that in a movie, blah, blah, blah. But they're just showing us what's going to happen. When these demonic beings, these shadow parasites, these jinns, whatever you want to call them, when they pop out into the field, they'll present you with something when you're in a time of guilt, frustration, anger, some low vibrational frequency. They'll be whispering to you. They'll show you some kind of contract. It could be some kind of sign that's embedded within some kind of TV program, some kind of movie, a book you're reading, a poster that you see at the community center, whatever it is. They're offering you a contract. You read it, you see it, you feel it, you get some communication subconsciously that you're unaware of consciously. That's good enough for them to be able to enter into a contract. And so on a very subtle level, human beings all over planet Earth are making contracts left, right, and center. And for you to go in and break those contracts, it requires a very specific process. And you've got open-ended contracts and you've got locked contracts. Whenever you've got a locked contract, you need to go to a council. It could be the 5th dimensional, 6th dimensional, 7th dimensional council. You don't know because it depends on where you entered into the contract at. If I was going to break open-ended contracts from another person, I would ask them to say something very specific. First of all, I would connect with them. I'd take them into the past life, the reality field where they'd entered into the contract. And I'd find the contracts. I'd set up a fire. It could be an emerald fire, a violet fire, a chromium fire. And then we'd go through a contract breaking process. I'd get them to connect to the contracts, drop into their heart and say this: I break all contracts and all agreements, seen and unseen, known and unknown, throughout all time and space, across all dimensions, densities, realities, and frequency bands. And I break them now. And they'd say it 3 times, 3 for creation. So they'd say that with conviction and commitment, with focus, with energy. And then we'd take the contracts after saying it 3 times and place them into the fire and watch them burn. Once we'd burnt the contracts, we'd then detach that piece of their soul from that reality field. We'd get that piece of their soul and bring it into healing. That's it. You've either collapsed the timeline, you've brought the soul fragment into healing, the job's done. that contract in that time-space coordinate is never going to affect that human being anymore. And the entities that were attached to that are just going to fizzle off, leave. Or we may go through another bit of a process where we put some certain geometries up and take them through a process and take them back to source or to demon school or whichever dimensional space they need to go to. This stuff is real. A large percentage of the human race suffer with demonic entities and demons. A lot of people that you see in mental homes, it's because they've entered into contracts with demons, or they've had an encounter with certain beings from beyond the veil, some of them positive, some of them negative. And it's just blown their consciousness wide open. And they're seeing all this stuff and people think they're crazy. So they put them in a straitjacket, lock them up, feed them a load of medication. That opens their field anymore. And then more demons start to feed off of their energy. It's just a never-ending cycle. It's a road of despair and misery. And it's very hard to pull a human being out from that. Last week, we went through a process where we did a big activation and meditation. We went to the west coast of Argentina to a sacred underground space where they've got a huge Lemurian sun disk. And we did this on the solar eclipse because at CERN in Switzerland, they were using the Hadron Collider to break open new portals and bring demonic entities through. And they were going to use the lack of sunlight, the lack of photons to accomplish this. So we took 1,000 people multi-dimensionally into this underground Lemurian solar disk temple space, and we activated the solar disk to stop the Hadron Collider opening these negative portals and letting demons stream through into our space. The same thing happened in 2001 on September the 11th. That was a big, huge ritual. When those twin towers blew up, they used that fear energy to open portals and bring some really heavy beings through into our third dimensional space. Entities and beings that are just so disgusting and evil that there are no words for it. No words for it. The darker side of the universe, the darker side of the force, they are losing their power. And they're holding on, and so they're trying to produce more fear on planet Earth in every given opportunity. You know, whether it's on the news, in magazines, films, they're trying to amplify and up the levels of fear so that we tip into the fear, and they use that energy against us. When we stay in love, when we stay in high humor, they can't touch us. When we're locked in those crystalline diamond frequencies, grounded into the planet, grounded through the Arimatina gateway into the God worlds, we become unfuckwithable. We become unnameable, unshakable. You cannot mess with us when we're in that 0 point frequency, plugged into those higher frequency bands. You know, clients of ours have had demons come into their bedroom, pin them to the bed, and the clients are struggling. And they remember what we've taught them. Drop into your heart and be love. As soon as you drop into your heart, you smile. You open up those tourniquets. You release the oxygen into your brain. You smile with your heart. You smile with your kidneys. You release that joy in your body. The entities can't pin you to the bed anymore. They lose their power because they draw their power and their energy from your fear. So as soon as you become love, they just leave. I remember years ago, my son was in his bedroom. And we had a big onslaught for a few weeks because I was discovering stuff about my lineage and my ancestors. And my real father, my birth father, okay, who had blonde hair and blue eyes, came with Nazi DNA, all right? I started to discover a lot of stuff about this. And beings started to attack me, my son, my daughter. Reptilians pulled my daughter off her horse in the daytime and they started eating her womb. They came into my son's bedroom at nighttime and they started pinning him to the bed. They started suffocating him and he couldn't breathe. And then he remembered, be love. And as soon as he became love and he opened his heart as wide as he could, the entity backed off. My daughter phoned me whilst the reptilians were eating her womb at the horse riding stables. I was in Turkey. I tuned in and I was able to get them off of her. Okay, this stuff is real. It's not that you should be scared of it. It's part of the human game that we're playing. But you got to know that love is the question. Love is the answer. Love is our greatest weapon. Okay, it doesn't mean that you shouldn't engage sometimes like a warrior. Yes, but you got to stand in that 0 pointed frequency of love, high humor, ecstasy, passion. And then you've got to work from there, because if you tip into fear and anger, you're no good to anyone. They're going to feed off of that stuff. And then you're going to be at loggerheads. You've got to take the ammunition, the firepower away from these entities. And that is to be in the love frequency, beautiful soul. Dimensions and different quantum spaces, different Stargates have IP addresses. Okay, if you want to go from one Stargate to another planet, you got to go through a Stargate with a very specific IP address. Or you can create a vortex point in space-time by going through a very specific process with crystalline technology. You can use physical crystals, electromagnetic crystals. You can use the crystals inside your body, okay? And you can open up portals. You can place very specific mathematical points in space-time into these portals, and you can walk through and travel to another time-space coordinate. Everywhere has a mathematical location, just like a computer, just like a laptop, just like a household with an IP address. So when you know how to play with these vortex points and these portal points, you can literally fold time in half, walk through a doorway, out the other side, and you're in a different part of reality. It could be another place on Earth, it could be another planet, it could be anywhere. These technologies are available to all of us. I remember a long time ago in the Emerald Pyramids with Azra, with Derekwai, okay? Azra the Lion King, a very powerful lyran lion. Derekwai, who had the same soul as Thoth, the same soul as Saint Germain. I remember being in the Emerald Temples, the Emerald Pyramids, with the Kara-Nu tribe, okay, which were an ancient Lyran civilization that helped create the Garden of Eden on Avion billions of years ago. I remember being in those temples, setting up crystals, okay, and the crystals were weaved holographically in the temple space to locations around the galaxy. You could get one set of crystals on one side, one set of crystals on another side. You could bring them together physically or holographically, and it would fold space-time in half. You could open up a doorway and walk through one side of the door, come out the other side and be on a different planet or somewhere else on the same planet. These technologies we're starting to remember, okay? We're starting to wake up and remember how to be the Jedis that we once were. If you go back to ancient Egypt, okay, they had stargates and portal systems, and some of the beings that walked through, some of the humanoids, some of the extraterrestrial, they had these very specific Jedi Ankhs. The Ankhs, you use the Ankhs for maneuvering huge heavy objects, for levitation. The Ankh is all about harnessing sexual energy. But they had these very high frequency Jedi Ankhs, which opened up portals and gateway systems. Now, we as human beings, we also have these Jedi Ankh technologies inside of us. They're made up from the certain different crystals inside of our bodies. Those bromium crystals that are in our right brain that I've been talking about for about 8 years now. Okay, they're Arcturian crystals that fire up in our right brain. They give us access to different portals, mathematical gateways. We are the technology. We are so powerful, beautiful soul. We are amazing. But stepping into that power has to be accessed through divine presence. You've got to be locked and loaded in that 0 point, grounded electrically and magnetically, with the feminine and the masculine completely solidified, overlaid and merged, locked and loaded in that balancing point. From there, you can access all of this technology. But when the framework of your 0 point is out from that balancing point, out from that pendulum that is locked and balanced, you're no good to anybody. So living in your heart and being present is the ultimate goal. Because once you're present, you get high levels of self-awareness, and through those high levels of self-awareness, you start to become aware of your multidimensional architecture. You start to become aware of your internal mathematics. You start to become aware of the beings playing out in the space around you, and everything opens up. So make it your mission to be in your heart. Make it your mission to love when the world wants to put you in jealousy, guilt, anger, resentment. Make it your mission to love, come heaven or high water. It's your mission, your focal point. It's something that I tip out of balance with sometimes still. Many, many people on this planet still tip out of balance here and there. We're human. We're in this physical reality. We've got a mind, we've got a brain, we've got an ego. Every now and again we tip. Some of us tip into anger. Some of us tip into jealousy. Some of us tip into guilt. Some of us tip into rejection, here and there. But the more you understand yourself and you amplify these high levels of self-awareness, you spot it really quickly. So you can minimize it and diminish it and recalibrate it really quickly. So you return to the 0 point. And the more you're in the 0 point, the easier life flows. When you let your external environment disturb your internal mathematics, then your external environment starts to become wavy. It starts to become chaotic. The waves start to increase and you have more highs and lows. When you remain in that 0 point, the water stays calm and you can ease your way into the shore. The surfboard, the ride on it becomes smoother. And every now and again you get a massive wave, which you've got to ride, which is turbulent, but it accelerates the process. There's learning, there's growth in the pain, in the hurts, in the stuff that people don't really want to experience. Remember, the darkness is not all bad. The shadow side of life is something where you can mine the best gold from. Remember, wholeness is mission critical, and you are a powerful being. So be in your 0 point. Alchemize the dark and the light, the masculine and the feminine. Realize that you're a planetary custodian, a Stargate guardian, and there is everything happening around you in the same space at the same time. So get present and start to understand the spirit world. Get present and understand the multidimensional playing fields, and your whole life will change. You will have a whole different perspective on this world and this planet. You will have a whole different perspective of the galaxy, the universe, and the universes beyond this universe. We have access to everything, and your heart is a Stargate. So dive into it and be brave. And I'll see you on the other side. Beautiful soul. Remember to check out our website, starmagichealing.org. We got some of the best ascension tools on planet Earth. High frequency meditations, ascension teachings, mystery school teachings, light codes to activate your pineal gland, your Merkaba field, your right brain, your kundalini, your whole multi-dimensional architecture. We've got high frequency nutrition, music only meditations, light language transmissions, cosmic yoga, everything you need to be your very best version. And remember, beautiful soul, this is not a quick fix. This is not a 2-month wonder, a 3-month wonder, a 2-week wonder. This is a lifestyle. You've got to commit every single day to doing a little bit, to giving a little bit of time back to you, the most important human being on planet Earth. Because when you do the inner work, everything externally changes because your internal mathematics and geometrical code changes. So dive in here, do the work, check out Infinity right now, get free access for 7 days. Go and check out our private Telegram groups and meet other beautiful souls on this same ascension mission, just like you, just like me, just like loads of other beautiful souls and spiritual gangsters on planet Earth. Live your truth, speak your truth, and love your sisters and brothers fiercely and ferociously. Hug them tightly and never, ever, ever be the first to let go. That's the golden rule of hugging. It's such a beautiful medicine. So hug your family, your human family. And remember, one love, one heart, one human family. That's where it's at. We're sisters and brothers on this earth plane. I'll see you again real soon, beautiful soul. I love you. Smile, laugh, have fun. And don't take it too seriously. It's a cosmic joke after all. One love, one heart, one human family. Peace out, beautiful soul. I love you so much. Mwah.